I have is that private investigator, do you suppose maybe he knew that little Kaylee was out there and he was purposely opening the garbage bags to allow the animals to get to the bones and scatter them?
Well, that is a speculation that he knew the body was there, but for what purpose, Leonard Padilla?
No, he wasn't doing that. He was actually looking for the body. Hoover said that they'd gone out there because on the 15th, he was told that the body was there. She wasn't alive. They were going to go get her. And the problem is that where he was looking, he was about 12 feet away from the body. The body was actually submerged in about 18 inches of water at that time. The ones where he's with a trowel and all that, that's across the street at a vacant house. But the reason he was looking at the house and over here in where they found the body was because of the paver blocks. They were a designation as to where the body was, 12 feet from the paving blocks. That's why he was there. He wasn't trying to do anything other than find the body.
Again, at this video, take a look. Here you see the private investigator for the Anthonys now putting a rod several feet down into the ground, looking for what? He says he was just checking out a teen hangout of the Tot Mom. She hasn't been a teenager for a really long time. And here he is emerging from the woods, talking on the cell phone. And quickly to Leonard Padilla, why do you think he hasn't handed over those cell phone records?
Well, he hasn't handed them over because he's still telling stories about who he was talking to. I mean, I've heard several other people's names come up, including Joy Ray that he was talking to, and she admits that she was talking to.
Everybody, you just saw a video from WFTV of the Anthony's private eye coming through the woods weeks before Kaylee's remains were discovered officially by the police. Reportedly, it's that same location found by a utility meter reader. And very quickly, I want to go to the case of the missing little boy. But John Burris, Richard Herman, bottom line, if those cell phone records show that he was on the phone with anybody from the Anthony team, he's up the creek without a paddle, Herman.
No, I don't think so. 15th and 16th, that's a dry area. There's no body found. 3 weeks later, the body conveniently shows up a stone's throw from the roadway.
Okay, that was beautiful. I didn't know you knew how to tango because you danced right out of that question. Burris, give it to me straight. If those cell phone records of him on the phone at that moment where he is 12 feet from Kaylee's body relates back to the Anthony team, he's in trouble. They're all in trouble. The Tot Mom's in trouble.
Well, the Tot Mom's in trouble no matter what.
Well, I know that, obviously. She's indicted for murder one.
Yeah, right. She's in trouble. But the question is, what is the trouble that he's involved in? He's trying to find the body. I don't think that makes him a criminal in any way. And if someone has given him that information...
It shows he got the information from her behind bars. Hello?
Well, I understand that, but you don't know that. They got to tie that up, and I don't know that he's on the phone with that or not.
I know, I don't know.
Not you personally, but the police have got to tie that up.
Trial?
Every call's recorded, Nancy. You know that.
So
yes, I do.
Believe that.
So I'm very happy for when he turns over those cell phone records voluntarily to police.
He's not talking to her.
They already have it.
He's not talking.
They have his records.
Yeah.
Well put, gentlemen. Quickly, I want to talk about the 6-year-old missing boy. Take a listen.
Police are desperate to find a 6-year-old boy who has been missing since Saturday afternoon. The boy was last seen outside his grandmother's home playing with friends late in the afternoon. When the child's stepfather came to pick him up, the boy was gone. Over 150 law enforcement personnel are out searching the area, with helicopters and ATVs also brought in to assist the search effort. Police say the 6-year-old is developmentally disabled and has the mind of a 2-year-old. He cannot speak and only understands a few words. Authorities also say the boy may hide from searchers, which has them very concerned for his well-being.
Poor little thing has the mind of a 2-year-old child. He may actually be hiding from the searchers. He cannot communicate verbally. Rory O'Neill with Westwood One Radio joining us. Rory, explain to me, how did he go missing?
Well, Nancy, good evening. He was playing in the yard. It's a communal area. He was playing in there, and some family and friends had thought he was around. He was last seen around 5:30 on Saturday night. The father came to pick him up. He wasn't there, and they spent hours searching for him before they finally called police around 7:30.
Oh, no. They lost all that time?
Then it got worse because the mother of the child was at work. She works at a local nursing home. She didn't get home till about midnight. That's when she found out that the boy was missing.
Oh, no.
Since then, the search has been pretty thorough. Helicopters, bloodhounds, everything they can do across South Florida, really, to find the little 6-year-old.
To Lieutenant Tom Smith with the Special Crimes Bureau with Collier County Sheriff's Office. Lieutenant, thank you for being with us. Describe the little boy for me.
Good evening. Yeah, Ajir Desir is 6 years of age, and as you said, he is developmentally disabled. He's 3 feet tall, 45 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing a blue shirt with yellow stripes and a pair of blue shorts with little pink flamingos going down the seams.
This little child could be wandering alone right now. Look at him. He has the mind of a 2-year-old child. Lieutenant, does he speak English?
He only speaks about 5 words of English. His native language is Creole, but he doesn't speak it. He understands and can respond by shaking his head. He knows his name, responds to it by looking at you and shaking, his head yes or no. So he's extremely nonverbal, which adds to the fact that he couldn't speak up and say, "Help me, I'm lost," or "I'm with a stranger."
Anybody that sees a 6-year-old child walking alone would know something was wrong, Lieutenant, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. But obviously we're working parallel investigations, which is the best way to do these kinds of matters where we don't miss any opportunities. So at the same time that we're working the case as an endangered child, we're also looking at and exploring all the avenues as regards to an abduction.
Do you believe at this juncture he was kidnapped? I mean, how far could a child with the mental capacity of a 2-year-old get on his own?
Well, there's a lot of dynamics that go with young children, and, sometimes they amaze us as to what their survivability is and what their wandering ability is. So, we are, like I said, doing a complete parallel investigation covering all avenues in both directions, but at this time, there's nothing to lead us or weigh us in one way or the other.
Back to Rory O'Neill with Westwood One Radio. What is the prevalent theory about where the little boy is?
Well, it's difficult, as the officer was just saying, it's difficult to pin down whether or not this was a crime or if this is just a tragic situation. There is a fence surrounding the neighborhood where he lives, the farm workers' village, but there are plenty of holes in it. It's very porous. It wouldn't confine him necessarily, so that makes it that much more complicated as they try to find these holes in the fence.
Describe the area.
Are designed to keep him inside.
Describe the area.
Very remote. Again, this is a farming community, so the area where they are is actually a housing district, but just outside there, it gets very rural very quickly. It is some dense agricultural, it's a dense agricultural area.
Rory, who last saw him?
It was his grandmother who last saw him. He was playing at their house, in and out throughout the day.
It takes boots on the ground. It takes individual deputies getting out there and crawling through coverts and looking in brambles and bushes. So we're just taking the search and being as thorough as we can.